They would never call it sex espionage. So we would study some of the sex techniques in terms of like the pleasure for men.
What point did you realize that sex may be involved?
Sex?
Yeah.
When I was first, he closed the door, he takes the keys, and he literally starts to beat me and me.
This is 2 weeks after you're 18?
After I was enrolled. Yes. The first thing he said, do the blowjob. I'm thinking, I've never done it before. I have no idea how to do it. And this was, when he told me, this was part of the program. Literally in the first day, when we had the first line, when we lined up in front of our teachers, I noticed that the main teacher, like the commander of the main teacher of the school, the director, let's say, he looked at me and he picked up like me and another few girls. And then we were invited to his office. And then we were announced that we are chosen for a special program. And so we are very privileged. They would never call it sex espionage. They would never call it honey trap. I understood it only after. But they said that's a special program which will help you to target those, criminals or people whom will be your task. So you need to study the subjects, you need to learn psychology, and then after you will be given tasks. This will give you more benefits because you would have better salary, you would have better promotion, you may have additional vacations, and which was wow that time. You would given that Russians before also they had, and especially in Soviet Union, they had really big problem to travel abroad because of the Iron Curtain. Mm-hmm. So you couldn't literally get any visa. So now it's actually happening, the same story. So that time also it was really hard to travel abroad. So you couldn't just go to the embassy and get a visa and travel to America. No. Maybe if you would have a special diplomatic passport or connections or whatever. So when you actually go as this agent, then you may be able to fly abroad for special missions. And it's sort of cool because it sounds like in the movie, James Bond, wow, I will go abroad, I'll have these special missions and I'll see the world, blah, blah, blah. For 18 years old, it sounds fascinating, sort of. So when they announced me that I am chosen for this program, I was like, okay, cool. I'm happy to study that. And we were 5 girls in this special program. So we would go to our main classes. So 6 a.m. would be the first lineup, the morning. Then jogging, physical activities, blah, blah, blah. Breakfast. 8 a.m. you have to be in the class. So from 8 to 4, 5 p.m. depends from if you would have physical activities more or whatever, you would be done. Then us, 5 girls, we would go to these special classes for another 2 hours. And then we would catch up with our homework for the next day. And then that's it, we would go. So then again, also either it would be a physical activity, whatever, jogging or something, then dinner, and then you go and sleep to the dorm. So that was our kind of schedule for the day. Mm-hmm. So every day for a few hours, we would study these subjects, such as psychological techniques. So for example, manipulation techniques, seduction techniques, influence, persuasion techniques, how to read and scan people, how to spot the lie, how to set up a strategy for your target, this social engineering thing, how to do it, how to work in a team, how to estimate your target's weaknesses and desires and needs, how to recruit someone, how to make friends, how to attract people, how to make someone to be your informer, again, through manipulation, how to threaten people, your targets particular, so they would want or they have to give you information you need. And of course, additional martial arts, of course, additional sex techniques. So we would study some of the sex techniques in terms of the pleasure for man, I would say, like not particularly your pleasure, but how to please the man. But also, which I find really fascinating, and that's what I give to my students a lot. And I think this is a foundation, and I think this really changed me to who I am right now. So when I entered, I was like really ugly duckling. I was shy and completely unconfident. So I didn't understand that before, but now I really get it. So we've studied the self-confidence techniques to raise your self-love. So you become so freaking confident to go to any mission that you don't even have any doubt that you may fail. So even now, wherever I go, like public speaking in the Vatican City, like public speaking in United Nations, I told you the story, we were driving here and I had this thought and then I'm like, oh, come on, I always, I know that I can do it. It's just, it's amazing how they taught us how to program your brain for a success, even though it's so hard and you want to give up. And it helped me so much when I went to the war and I went to the really bad, dangerous missions. And I was thinking, that's it. This is the end. But just because of these techniques, I always had this thought like, no, I know that I can go through that. I know I can do it. I know I'll do it. Like, this is the belief which I didn't have before. And it was like placed and planted into my brain. And I believe that this is the foundation of everything.
How long is this school?
Okay, so 6 months. This is the first initial, most important foundational classes. Mm-hmm. Then you go back to your department, wherever you were, you're supposed to work. Then you work, you kind of do the practice. Then when you're getting another rank, for example, high rank, you're supposed to come back and you would be given more subjects, more techniques. You kind of have to be qualified for bigger job, for high rank. You go back again 6 months. Sometimes you can do it a year. Other universities, like for example, in Moscow one and in St. Petersburg, actually, where Vladimir Putin studied. So they're particular academies, where you actually go and you study there as a college for 3-4 years. But because I was already enrolled to the international law university, so I was doing sort of two universities, two educational at the same time. So I was studying international law at my university and also was doing this. And also after I was working. So yeah.
Wow. So quite
a lot of work.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of education as well.
What point did you realize that sex may be involved?
Sex?
Yeah.
When I was firstly raped. I was virgin. So I came to the department. I was raped.
So this didn't, going through the course and talking about seduction and pleasuring a man and all this kind of stuff, you didn't realize that it didn't occur to you that sex would be involved in the job description? Okay,
so about sex. So as I mentioned, my dad was really strict. So I was not allowed to go out when I was living with my family till 18 years old. I didn't even kiss any boy. I didn't even speak with anyone. I was so shy. I thought I'm so ugly and all that. So I was like ugly duckling. So 18 years old, my dad brought me to this department. Literally in a few weeks, 2 weeks, my commander colleague calls, that time we didn't have cell phones. So he calls to my home phone. My dad obviously picks up, as he always did. And it was about 8 p.m. So it was evening. And my colleague said, oh, we have alarm. Somebody's killed. Something happened in the city. So she has to come ASAP to our department because we need her to work. And that time I already was enrolled as an intern.
Okay.
So I had to come. So my dad said, get ready, go. So I come to my department and I see my colleague being already drunk, something shady going on. He closed the door, he takes the case, and he literally starts to beat me and rape me. And
This is 2 weeks after you're
after
18?
I was enrolled, yes, to this
Holy
department.
shit.
Yet he knew, and he saw my father, who was that time high-ranking officer, bringing me to the commander, where commander approves me as a future agent. He saw that, right? So he didn't care about this. He said, if you will tell your dad, your whole family will be fucked. The whole reputation will be fucked. You'd rather not to tell that, because they will blame you because this is your fault. You see, the manipulation. You seduced me. This is your fault. I didn't do shit. This is your fault. Number two, I was virgin. I told him I have never done it before. I can it doesn't matter. Three, you are going to the military academy anyway. You're supposed to disattach your body from your emotions. This is part of the training. That's what they do. Your body belongs to the state. Your body belongs to the government. You, with your feelings and emotions, it doesn't exist. The soul doesn't exist.
Wow.
Okay? So all these things, and then they literally make you to become sort of robotic, where even now, unfortunately, but I cannot do anything about it. Still now, my body lives completely separate from my emotions. So for example, if I have an intercourse, it doesn't mean that I have any feelings towards this man. So I still can have an orgasm and all that, but and it's all good, but I don't have any attachment, and I cannot created because I was trained to remove these feelings and emotions from my body. So my body was just a tool in the mission.
Wow.
If it does make sense.
And you never told your dad?
I never told my dad because, what would I tell him? He brought me there, and then what? He would blame all his life that he did it to him. He did it to me. I don't want him to blame himself, I never told him. I think he kind of understands that there's something there. And you worked in Navy, and you know the statistics that about 20%, and this is what we know, 20% annually, 20% of female and also male are targeted for sexual abuse, and 20% are raped in the military. And this is the statistic, just open ChatGPT or internet, and it's clearly there. And it's only in the US. Imagine what's the percentage in Russia, this countries like Russia or Belarus or Ukraine or wherever, countries which don't really, where the law doesn't really work that much like in America. Probably it's 50%. And when I came to the academy, when I saw that every single female are being sexually abused and basically raped.
All of them.
All of them. They basically use them as a meat. So all teachers, they were male, of course. Only 2 were females who actually taught us all the psychological and sex and seduction techniques. So the rest were males. And the thing is, in the podcast To Die For, actually, there is a CIA, former CIA agent. He gave an interview. He actually said that, they just sex trafficked their own agents for their own needs, not just for the government needs, but also for their own needs. Mm-hmm. For example, this teacher's male, right? They knew that they have the power over us, so they can easily just use you for their own
whatever
needs.
They want.
For wherever. And obviously, I was stuck there. I didn't know what to do. I was 18 years old. I was just raped. Then I come to this academy, targeted by this colonel, the main teacher. And I mean, we had like the whole story and all that. So he literally like had me every other day, and I couldn't do anything about, like, because like he was also manipulating me. He's like, oh, if you won't do what I say, then you would be kicked out. You would like have very big problems. You have problem with your dad. You cannot, like, you would never be able to work anywhere in Russia because I will write the bad report that you like, did whatever like illegal things or something. So, I mean, that was cruel. And as a woman, as a female in the military, you couldn't say no.
So you're being raped throughout the entire duration
time,
of the
yes.
school, and
Yeah.
so are all the other women?
Yes.
Are you guys talking about this with each other?
We talked about that when we were there. And really sadly to say, but some of them, they had to participate in orgies. Like, I definitely didn't want to do it. I was like, first of all, these male teachers, they were over 50 years old. I'm not like saying that like 50 is like whatever, but okay, when 50 years old man doesn't take care about himself, doesn't do gym and like workout and doesn't really, and he looks gross, and he's like so abusive and telling you, like aggressively telling you like you have to do this. When I came to the office first time to this main teacher, the colonel, the first thing he said, do the blowjob. I'm like, I'm thinking, I've never done it before. I have no idea how to do it. And this was, when he told me, this was part of the program. So you have to, this is practice, like you have to learn. Now you know how to do it, like, so I'll teach you. Was it like was it like really part of the program, or was it his own, just needs for his own pleasure? Who knows? I think it was like second rather than first, because I don't want to believe that, but maybe both. I don't know.
Wow.
But I mean, like, you probably have seen or heard similar stories in military in the United States. I watched that documentary, The Invisible War, and there's so many cases like that. So it's happening everywhere. It's not just in the military, but it's in any corporation, in any industry where they're like more male rather than females. It's really hard to work, and if you're also like more or less like younger than them and pretty and all that. So sometimes your appearance and your beauty is a curse rather than a blessing.
gift.
Yes. Because like, look, they particularly chose the most pretty, the most youngest girls. And there were like special parameters for this special program, like Espionage, we call it right now. But the first thing, everybody has to be about like 5'6" feet tall. Second, they would run us through the intellectual, like sort of like IQ test. Then psychologist, so we spoke with the psychologist, so we had to be mentally strong and prepared. What if something happens? Like, are we strong enough to be in unpredictable, difficult, like extreme situations? We were checked by gynecologist in order like to see like, are we like, healthy? And then if you tick all the boxes, then you go to this program.
What did they tell you that program was?
They didn't say anything. Like, they didn't say, oh, it's a Honeypot or whatever. They said, like, it's a special program. You will be learning special techniques which you're not allowed to share with anyone. Everything in this, walls staying here. That's it. So just a few of you, because you're chosen. They don't call you swallows or sparrows or like spies. They don't call that, but they say like, this is a special subjects for you to learn, so it will be helpful for your future missions. That's it.
Wow. No matter where you're watching Shawn Ryan Show from, if you get anything out of this, please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share this everywhere you possibly can. And if you're feeling extra generous, please leave us a review on Apple and Spotify podcasts.